Hello, everybody. All right, so what do you do with your extra time if you're a professional fighter and you're only training once a week? We've already talked about what if you had to do this because you literally only had one day a week when you could train full time, train all day long, and get what you need done. But let's say you're in a dream situation where you're a professional athlete, professional combat sport athlete, and you actually have your room and board taken care of, you have your expenses taken care of, and you could be training every day of the week, but you have chosen to create a program where you're training once a week. And remember, I just want to say I'm not advocating this, but this is the way my mind works. This is the way I'm wired. When people ask me questions, I sometimes just obsess over it, right? Just to interrupt this with a little short story. When I was, starting Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I was starting to build some ability. I was starting to get the hang of it, and there was someone at the school who was kind of his accent was kind of good old boyish, and he was a law enforcement official. And I'm having a little problem trusting cops these days, to be honest with you. But I mean, he's a fairly decent guy. But the problem with cops is they decent cops sometimes cover for bad cops, make excuses for them. But anyway, we were getting ready to roll, and I was ready, and he comes up to me and he gives me this look like, "Now, don't bulldog me now." And I didn't know what the hell that meant. So I started to think, like, what's bulldogging? How do I avoid doing it, right? Then he zipped in and took me down, right? Zipped in, took me down, and quickly submitted me. And then, I tapped in and we got out and we rolled again. And when it was all over, I'm like, you psyched me out. You're one of the few people that psyched me out in here because you said, "Don't bulldog me now." And I don't know what that means. And my brain was trying to figure out what all that meant, what bulldogging was and how not to bulldog. And, you did what you did. All right. So, getting back to what do you do with your extra time? All right. What do you do with any extra time you get? Try to use it for either rest and relaxation and knowledge. Gain knowledge and skill. So, first of all, let's say you train once a week. If you have the ability to go to seminars on, various martial arts, I would say try to make it, whatever you do at those seminars, not very intense. Go half speed, half intensity, unless you absolutely, positively must, but you have a little extra time on your hands. Try to get knowledge. You're a pro, so try to get knowledge pertaining to what you have to do in the cage. But also try to get knowledge on proper nutrition. Try to get knowledge on anatomy, physiology, right? Try to possibly take some college courses. Never hurts to get a degree. There's also lots of self-study on the internet that's, fairly cheap. But learn more about what you're doing in the ring or the cage or on the mat and also off the mat. Make sure you're getting sleep, right? The temptation could be you watch a lot of TV, you go out, go to movies. I shouldn't have to say this, but, if you're in fight camp, don't be out there smoking and drinking and doing all this stuff. It's just going to, denigrate your efforts. So, next, use this opportunity to try to network, right? Talk to, for example, if you're a fairly well-known pro, you could do more appearances. You could do more autograph events. You could do more interviews and things like that. You could devote some of this extra time and energy to promotion. Again, hopefully that's not taking up a lot of energy, right? Again, make sure you sleep. The other thing is you've got the time now to cook and prepare your meals. So you have less of an excuse for the occasional burger and fries or, just wolfing down whatever you can find in the fridge. You can put a little bit more time into shopping and all that. Obviously, if you have a family, you can be with your family. But, again, try to make it a sanctuary of peace and love, not using this time to argue, to have more family arguments about things. You can take a look at your money. You can manage your money. A lot of fighters, especially if they're doing well, just kind of throw money out there, or they just let that manager manage it, and sometimes they get swindled. So that's another thing that you can do with your time. Another thing that you can do with your time is you can make content for YouTube and other services, which can build up your fan base. You can even have material you charge people for. You can do that, right? You can also journal. Another thing that I think you should do with your time is you should do hypnosis. You should probably get as many hypnosis sessions as possible, and also meditation. You should be doing stretching and yoga every day. You could do the mind-body disciplines, right? If you're a very spiritual person and your religious practice and the people in your life that are part of that religious life are good people, they're not constantly asking you for money and donations and things like that, you could do a little bit more in that aspect. But I'm going to say beware, because nowadays religion is turning into just a constant state of warfare with every other religion, and non-religion is just like everything else. Religion and politics, it seems to be intensifying its efforts for dominance. So if you find that your involvement in an activity brings you more hate, more anger, makes you think about more enemies and things like that, then it's going to denigrate your fighting career. It's going to denigrate the efforts of what you're doing, which is trying to recover and be focused, right? Because when you get on the mat, on the cage in the ring, even though you're there to fight, you're not really enemies, you're opponents. That's why you show courtesy and respect, and you touch gloves before the match, and you sometimes hug and shake hands and even kiss each other. I've seen that, because you're like, we fought a good fight, we put on a good show. We're not enemies, but we're opponents. I'm here to win, and I'm trying to stop you from winning, because we're trying to win this money, but we're going to obey the rules. We're going to give it our best. We're going to give our crowd a good show, and we're going to earn that money. All right? So communicate. That's another thing. Be more communicative with your crew, with your coach, with your manager, with your family, with your fans. Get the lines of communication going, and if you're not a good communicator, learn how to communicate. There are like public speaking classes that cost next to nothing at adult schools, right? There's tons of tutorials on YouTube. All right? Time is one of the most precious things we have, and we're going to run out one day, as sad as that seems, especially if you're doing what you love, which is fighting and winning and making the money and spending it on stuff. So that time is precious. It's money. And remember, there's going to come a time when you just can't do this like you used to. Yes, there are martial artists like Danny Inosanto. I think he's in his 90s now, still doing something, but he can't do everything he used to do when he was in his 20s and 30s, right? I can't do everything I could do when I was in my 20s and 30s. I'm glad there's a lot I can still do. Look after your health. If you have extra time, have you been putting off a doctor's appointment? Have you been, everything from an EKG to a colonoscopy to a dental appointment, right? Have you been putting that off? Now you should not be putting it off, right? So, even little things like a will and testament, that should help focus your mind. Remember, when you enter that ring, you stand a chance of being injured, killed, or made into a vegetable, right? So anything that you need to do so that things are ready and prepared and you have backup plans, that can take a load off of your mind and allow you to function better. Right? The whole idea of very high intensity, low frequency, low duration training is that it frees you up and gives you $1 billion worth of extra time. And what you do with that time is up to you, and how you waste it is on you. Right? I also think that even if you're doing a high frequency training regimen like many people do, You will have to regularly schedule and sometimes irregularly schedule breaks. You could be doing your training regimen for a fight camp that's 3 months long for a world title, and halfway through your first month you're like, wow, I'm kind of feeling like I'm dragging. I mean, sometimes all you have to do is take one day off and you get back in and you're back on point, right? Sometimes you lower the volume, but sometimes literally taking that day off or that week off or whatever it takes allows you to heal and completely recharge, and you get back at it. But that extra time, you can do something in that time. You don't have to get in the gym and overtrain. You can get in the mental gym and the social gym, okay? So anyway, all of this started with a hypothetical question, and I think I've taken this as far as I can take it. I think I've reached limits of my knowledge, my understanding, and the limits of how far I'm willing to extrapolate into this. Anyway, if it helps anybody, I hope it does. Like and subscribe. Just be careful out there. It's a hot summer and global warming is real. Hydrate, help out each other where you can. A lot of people are dying because of this heat wave, so just take care of yourselves and each other. And I'm going to say what I said in the other tape. Do what you can with what you have, right? While you have it, while you have the time, while you have the resources, so that when you need to do something, you can. All right. Have a good day.